What's going on, YouTube? And hope you're ready for an absolute treat of a game. And I'm bringing back a series I have not done in quite some time, the most annoying strategy. Not the most complex of names, not the most complex of ideas, but it is a strategy that maybe brought many of you to the channel. Some people found my channel because of Forest Nothing, others because of various expert games, but the most annoying strategy series is a series that I came up with many years ago to kind of highlight some of the crazy, annoying, frustrating, and successful strategies that you can see in Age of Empires. And the reason I can't do that every week, the reason I can't show you games every other month, is because I want this series to be taken seriously. I want it to be special. So if you're interested in previous videos, that playlist is all going to be down below. But let me dive into this one right here. It's definitely more unique than some of the ones in the playlist. And one of the big reasons why this strategy right here is more unique, and this upload is more unique than the other ones in the playlist, is because this is at a very, very high level. So let's do the introductions. Trust me, there's a lot to break down, a lot of cool information here, and I've even had personal experiences with this strategy and player in recent times. So in the red, we have Comtam. Now, Comtam is currently ranked 120th in the world. If you eliminate the 40 or 50 repeat accounts that are there, Comtam is a top 100 player, has been around the scene for a very long time, pre-definitive edition days, like virtually everyone in the top 100 with a few exceptions. And Comtam is a great all-around player, plays with a lot of civilizations. And Comtam is currently playing with the Chinese here, which all high-level players would say is top 5, maybe even number 1 on the map we're on here, Arabia. And as to why Chinese are good, I'm going to get to that. We're going to have time in case you don't know, but Chinese start with 6 villagers. You start with no food, so you're going to have to get the food income rolling to keep that villager lead, and exactly what we're seeing here. Now, in the blue, this is the player that really inspired me to make this video. We have T. Now, T was not always known as this. And forgive my awful pronunciation here, but if you've been following my content, you understand I suck at that. T was formerly known as CXUWEI. It's like YOU WEI. And this player, I did a little bit of research, has been playing, at least since Voodoo days, since 2013. So it's been a while. That's actually around as long as I've been playing consistently anyways. Is a Chinese player. And I actually reached out to Mr. Yo, a high-level Chinese player, to maybe get a little bit of perspective. You know, just more history, more fun facts about the player. But this player here, while he has shown to be well-rounded in previous times, only picks Spanish. Spanish are currently bottom 5 in the ranked 1v1 ladder win rate at the high level. Bottom 5. And that's against a top, and we're currently up against a top 5 civilization in Chinese. So you've seen the title of the stream, and or not the stream, excuse me, I'm used to streaming. Let's try that again. You've seen the title of the video, and the title is Castle Drops. And castle dropping is a strategy that all levels are familiar with, because when a castle gets dropped in your face, it can be really complicated to deal with it. At that point, you don't really need military. At that point, you know, it's shooting down their buildings, maybe denying resources. And at mid to low levels, you can just comfortably move out across the map and do that at times. You see it on maps where players start with stone walls. The enemy feels secure, and you just walk forward and drop the castle. The problem is, at a high level, players are constantly flooding the map with military, and dropping the castle is not so easy. And then if you're collecting resources for a castle, that means you're not going to have other things like food and gold. And but when you're playing as the Spanish, I think the reason that win rate is so low is because, you know, you're always trying to get to that conquistador, which is their unique unit, and that's behind the castle. And it's a little bit predictable, whereas Chinese can go all the way to Arbalest through their archer units. They get full blacksmith upgrades on that. They have stables, like they can go for knights and cavalier and camels. They can go for halberdiers, champions, siege rams. I could go on, but it is the civ with the most options in the game. And then also, it has cheaper technologies, also more food on their farms, and they start with more vills. So let's get into this game. That was a big mouthful. What's so interesting about this player here? Well, T, also in the top 100, just has the absolute audacity to try what no one else does. And I played T the other day. I'll talk more about that later in the video. But that's what made me say, oh man, I've got to show people this. So here we have Arabia, known as an open map, right? And you can see all throughout Dark Age, T's been thinking about some walls, some houses diagonally this way. Now we're going to see 2 villagers pulled this way to drop palisades. Berries are very forward. Main gold is very forward. Stone here, very exposed. Just so much open space in the front. Even the deer are not easy to get to. But T's already thinking about getting a potential castle up, and it's just very risky. If I were to play Spanish in this matchup, I would probably try and open with scouts or men-at-arms, maybe get into towers or something. I'd try and compete in some way before thinking about a castle, because it just, frankly, seems logical. But not T. The T's not about that life. T is about the YOLO life, and the YOLO life can work for T at times, enough to put you in the top 100, right? And so T, not even scouting the enemy that much. I went through at one point just to see what the enemy was up to, but maybe assume some pressure's coming. Not looking to confirm that, and just trying to get in as much food as possible, maybe because the berries are forward. But I guess the logic here is you have enough stone for now, you have enough gold for now, and the game plan is to eventually get castle. And then Comtam, if he's like me, has played T once or twice before, and probably knows what to expect here. And if you look at Comtam scouting, he scouted the back wood line, back stone, and back gold. So we're talking high level here. Players are recognizing all the tiny little things, and Comtam sees a spot to hit. So it's pretty uncommon for Chinese to go forward, because you start with those extra villagers, you normally keep them at home and try and take advantage of that economically. But I think, see a player in Comtam who recognizes the threat of Spanish if they're able to have success with any type of a castle drop. So forward archer range, forward militia, maybe soon to be man-at-arms, and T sees this. Not the archer range. Oh, no, did see the archer range foundation, excuse me. And so now T is going to wall the entire front of the base. Like, this doesn't really look like someone who's top 100 right now, does it? It's just like, it's just so silly, so passive. You give up your berries. I mean, come on, man. Giving up your berries. But here's what's brilliant about this build order. This isn't a fast castle build order. Because if you go straight fast castle, you're going to be up to feudal age a little later. This is more of a, and there's no real word for this. This is fast castle, but prepping to build a few defensive towers as well, right? So he gets up to feudal at the point where if the enemy is tower rushing you, you can drop your own tower, and has enough stone to do that in multiple spots. Now, Spanish build faster, which is why they can wall, which is why castle dropping is good for them. It is a bonus, which is quite helpful. And T sends the scout out here in feudal age and quickly plugs up the gap behind. And tower goes up. Tower will now shoot the tower from Comtam, where there's 4 villagers and an archer. And this scout's just going to kind of move around for now. But look at the eco right now. Just compare the situations. You've got 3 farms for food. That's it. 3 farms for food for T. And then over here, you have Chinese farms. So you're going to have a bit more food on them, which is fantastic. And you're already seeing more and more farms turn out. You've got berry villagers. I mean, the eco balance is just... It's just better. There's no other way to say it for Comtam. And so if I were in Comtam's point of view, if I was in his shoes, excuse me, and I will have dropped this tower, just based on the timing and based on experience, I'm going to recognize there's idle villagers there. That's a tower that's going to take him further away from having the stone to go up to the next age. And if I'm lucky, I might even be able to kill one. So forcing stone walls is also stone that puts T further from getting a castle later on. And yeah, there's just no military whatsoever from T. So I played T 2 days ago or 3 days ago, one of those. And the thing is, you instantly know what type of player you're up against, because with the ranked queue nowadays, you can have random civ enabled. And I always have random civ enabled. But if the enemy wants to go pick civ, which means they disable that, it always goes for whatever civ I have selected. And normally that's Mayans. Because the Mayans is just a solid all-around pick. And here's Comtam with the tower behind the wood line. Some fancy market abuse here from T to buy food. But pretty soon, T's not going to have a wood line to take. So anyways, I had mine selected just in case someone didn't want to go for random Civ, and I go up against someone who picks Spanish, and I'm like, oh boy. These players are pretty rare nowadays. As someone picking Spanish tells me he's experienced. And I had like seen the player around before, but I didn't have any strong first-hand experience, you know? So anyways, I really like how Comtam has played this so far. Now, naturally, villagers have come forward, so the uptime to Castle Age isn't going to be as strong as it would have been otherwise. But economically, things are looking pretty good. You do have a tower behind a wood line, and that's going to hurt. T is currently chopping straggler trees like a low elo legend. Like, it's a completely different series right now. And it's going to go over here to place a lumber camp, which isn't all that efficient. No eco upgrades. No wood upgrade, no farm upgrade. But we'll have the stone to build a castle. Now, Comtam is somehow going to be up at 19.5 minutes. That's actually an incredible uptime based on everything, or after everything that's happened here. Has not really walled at home, but there's nothing really wall against. And now we see T just walking outside away from the TC, dropping or chopping a straggler tree for now. And Comtam can see this and says, wait a second, I want to deny this wood line too. So we're probably going to see another tower on this side in a moment. Actually, currently lacking the stone for it. So we're seeing an outpost as both players lose their scouts. And now Comtam sees the castle. Now, if you're watching this and you're probably like, hold on a second. I've castle dropped my younger brother before. And my 7-year-old younger brother didn't know what hit him when I dropped a castle. And it was on his face. First off, congratulations on beating up on your little bro. Who probably doesn't have any build orders or hotkeys. But anyways, that's what Brotherhood's all about, I think. And the castle's gone up at home. Now, again, high-level Age of Empires, you're not going to be able to just waltz across the map all that easily. So what T's going to do here is start off with a defensive castle. Now, important things to pick up on here. Eco upgrades, 0. Forget the wood upgrade, forget the farm upgrade. Taking berries at 20 minutes for food. That's the situation we're at with T's eco right now. And T actually is going to lose a villager now. But here come the Conquistadors. They are a very strong unit. And for Comtam, he built an archer range forward, which is going to be a little awkward, as the production is going to want to meet up with the rest of the group. You can already see fatality because of this problem. But then again, I think you could make arguments that the forward wouldn't have been as successful if it wasn't for those archers. So the forward range did make sense at the time. No eco upgrades, but we are going to see armor upgrade for these Conquistadors. One of the strongest unique units in the game. They're also really expensive, though. So, about the cost of a knight. It might actually be the exact cost of a knight. I forget. And Comtam's a little concerned about this. And when you're up against Spanish, you just have to have the constant mindset of, my eco is better, my options are better. Let's survive that wave, right? So, while Comtam could be adding eco, right now Comtam's got to be thinking about dealing with this. So far, not so good. There's the overall KD, and these conks doing pretty good. Now, I watched this game already, obviously, and it's just, the level of commitment is what's astounding to me about this. We've had 2 wood lines denied due to towers. By the way, the 4 villagers that built that tower over here chopping wood. Archer in each tower, and T doesn't really care about the long-term eco because T doesn't care about eco. T could batter this down right now. T could siege that down, but instead, T's going to siege this archer range down. And for T, it's about aggression right now. 2 TCs now for Comtam, and that's a really good position for this second town center. And there's something up with gunpowder projectiles in the game right now that devs need to fix, because these conks should be hitting. A little unfortunate for our castle dropper T. But, you've got the villager lead for Comtam. He's got crossbows, but not too many crossbows. And now at 23 minutes, get top 100 player, very close to it, getting his first eco upgrade against Chinese. Now, the crossbows have 35 HP, so they're not the strongest thing compared to the conch that has 55 before bloodlines and all that can come in. Comtam was producing out of this range, which is probably a little bit of a mistake. Probably meant to go back to this range. Probably just using hotkeys and not paying attention to the details. But yeah, the Conquistadors have 6 range. The crossbows have 7. So in theory, you can mask the crossbows, outrange them, and whittle them down. And you're starting to see Comtam balance out the eco a bit more. I mean, just compare the farming eco. We still have one player depending on berries. So getting worse and worse for T. And no real sign of that changing just yet. Thing about these YOLO players, and a lot of this strategy really is just down to the YOLO micro as well. It's not just about the castle drops, but at this level, you're going to have a mix of both. But the thing about this player that makes him so interesting is just the dedication to the aggression. Now, I would say that Age of Empires is like 60% defense, 40% offense. And I would have to think about exact percentages, but certainly lots of ways to get yourself out of trouble. What is that lumber camp? I guess Comtam really needs to chop wood right now and can't go anywhere else, so... All right. Now, we do see a second TC for T. We see a second mining camp on gold for T. A ram going over here for T. Okay, okay, okay. Remember, it's that commitment I mentioned. It's that constant thought in the back of T's mind of, when can I go forward again? When can I do this again? When can I make this interesting again? It's really turned into an interesting game, right? Because Conk Maganel is really hard to stop. The crossbows are pretty good against the Conquistadors. But this Maganel here, that has an answer to the crossbows. So now you've got to be looking at other options. Like, do you fortify with towers? Do you go for a castle of your own? Which is a little awkward to do when your forward stone's been denied. So we have Comtam going over here to the stone. And even getting ballistics now, so those shots won't miss. And seems like this tower is going to be dealt with. The crossbow will still be there, but I'll keep you updated. Messy, messy game for Comtam. Really not fun to be in this position. But when you get ballistics on crossbows and the Conquistadors don't yet have bloodlines, the Conks do seem to go down rather quickly. And maybe guard tower on the cards too. Can't afford it right now, but we see a tower here, which tells me Comtam is genuinely worried about this little push. Tower having Bodkin Arrow too, so it definitely helps out. And that's actually going to force T to look this direction. And now this is where I just fell in love with this player's style. So he added the second town center, but it's not really farming or anything. Doesn't have farm upgrades. But you see, if you were paying attention to the resources as a Maganel shot goes in, and let's see if Comtam can micro this. Good micro, actually. Very good micro there. And it's going to continue, so I'll hold my thought. What I was going to say, as I'm not holding my thought clearly, was that he transferred over to stone when he saw that tower there. Perhaps thinking about ways to deal with any defensive towers, and I think you know where we might be going. Really fun game here. The Chinese player has the better eco. The Chinese player has the better position. You could make arguments that even the units are a little bit better right now for Comtam if the crossbows can continue to be utilized like this. And this is at the point of the game. We're watching it for the first time. I said, all right, well, Comtam is officially held. 15 villager lead. Crossbows looking strong. We'll have more towers that go up defensively. Comtam's officially held. And so we're going to have more siege coming forward here from T. Even bringing forward that ram from earlier. Just everything, you know? Just everything to be aggressive. And if you start to fall behind in games, especially with disadvantages, you've got to go aggressive. And going to be in the back of T's mind here. Really should think about making a stable for bloodlines. Actually, there's bloodlines. So now the Kongs, instead of having 55 HP, are going to have 75 HP. Does make a big difference. Right? Ram's going to take out a house. I don't think you need to be too concerned about that if you're Comtam, but you do need to be concerned about the mango. And thinking about a defensive castle for this front area. There's some stone and gold that will be needed later on. But right now, the pressure is so real. It's so extreme, I just don't think that's going to be a strong option. Now, when players are aggressive, when players are making you, they're putting you into awkward situations, you're going to make some mistakes here. And Comtam's got that idle time skyrocketing. T kind of, like, not keeping the TC producing here. 12 and a half minutes of TC idle time. 10 on food. You need 6 on food per TC. 6 on farms per TC normally to keep the TCs running. And then Conquistadors cost a lot of food. Have a lot of market abuse there, but a lot of conks on the front. And we now have Comtam buying some stone. And just full-on panic right now. Comtam, not even comfortable enough to try and get a TC up over here. Knows that there's a vulnerability on the back wood line. So we see the confidence with the micro again, and T's not looking at this right now, and boom! Big shot. I still think that's worth it. You can confidently move out with the 21 crossbows, and now T was coming forward. We know what T wants to go for. It's so annoying to play against these nerds. The guys who are trying to kill you all the time. Trying to drop castles all the time. It's why this is going to be part of the most annoying strategy, because this player only plays like this. Only Spanish. Boom! Big shot. And only YOLO. I know that there's other elements to this strategy, but it really does come back to how important castles can be. And I feel like it's so underrated at our pro scene right now. As Spanish villagers, they do build faster. Comtam saw the vills, so has some idea of what's coming, and placed that tower before, as we have excellent micro. I placed that tower before the castle foundation was placed, so expected it. Now, if this castle was going up with any other civ, I don't think it would complete. But you have that Spanish bonus working. It's at 70%. You also have Comtam having to focus the villagers or the conks. Look at the villagers there. Look at the conks. A lot of the conks going down. Castle's at 90%, people. P will commit everything all the time. And T sent just the correct amount of villagers forward. And now this castle goes up. And this strategy gets ridiculous. If you've been castle dropped before, you understand. You did everything right. You have the economy. You're trading against your military well. But now suddenly there's a castle next to 2 of your town centers. You've got to relocate all these vills. It's absolute madness. Absolute mayhem. Now, I want to just take a quick moment just to show you this timeline here, because this is this is really what T's strategy is all about. It's just all in aggression. It's all about the dark colors here. That's what's military. Forget about the eco. Even Wheelbarrow came in right here. But still, look at that lead. Look how much Comtam has on the field. A 20 population lead. But we'll see what stems from this. Now, the economy is not getting any better for T. In fact, in many ways, it could get worse. But we're going to have more villagers go over here to stone. This castle will slowly destroy all these buildings. And this is just, it's just awkward for Comtam, right? Comtam is capable, as we've seen, to defend from the conks. And another castle is kind of out of the question for T for now. So we have a back area of eco, mixing in farms. Fun little tip for you, by the way. If you ever have farms in the range of castles or towers, and you abandon them, like Comtam did, you need to delete those farms. Because if your villagers finish, let's say, this farm, they will go to other farms that are not finished before they reseed that farm, which will lead to situations where villagers will go into the tower and castle fire. And that's something that plagued me for years before I ended up realizing the situation. I was like, didn't tell villagers to go there. I just thought the game was dumb. Turns out I was dumb. This is kind of funny how the crossbows are being produced, and they're not even dying to the castle fire most of the time. They're heading over here to this hill, expecting the conks to come in. A lot of these conks are weak, and remember the crossbows have ballistics, so in conquistadors right now, it feels strong, but with the mangonels, which is just so expensive to get to. All right, I was wrong, by the way. We have 13 on food now for T. 38-minute game, 20 minutes of TC idle time, whatever. Here comes a ram. It's still 84 villagers versus 56. Still, actually, you know, Comtam's eco upgrades aren't all that good, to be honest. It also has had a massive amount of idle time. It really sets you back when you're being pressured like this. I really like what Comtam's doing here with the houses. Placing houses in this area will, as we see a castle for Comtam, just worried about the future. Is that a good castle? You know, I feel like if it's not there, yeah, I honestly don't hate that. I mean, you need something fast, so it's never going to be perfectly placed as the conquistadors are coming in. I was thinking maybe the hill, but then you can't take your stone, so I don't hate that. But I was saying something. Oh, yeah, the houses. So that's going to give you vision if you have Town Watch. And also what that'll do is if any army patrols over there, as we have a counterattack from Comtam, the confidence, he knows most of that pressure's forward, right? But yeah, anyways, the enemy army is going to patrol into your houses and kind of give you an idea of what's happening. All right, he got away with there, right there. You see that villager die on the farm? That's because that farmer was on another farm, I think. Gotta delete those. But, you know, Comtam has kind of got away with a little bit more than maybe possible, because I think these TCs could have been rammed down a little bit earlier. Comtam could have been forced to run a little bit earlier. But the panic's real. Over here, we had crossbows trying to get some counter damage in, and you can see the eco KD is actually pretty close this game. And just now seeing that wheelbarrow tech and these conquistadors run in and taking out the crossbow, taking out the Mangonel, taking out some villagers. TC down. Here you've got a bunch of villagers, 16 villagers that probably need to relocate fast. Comtam maybe looping home with these crossbows, seems to have lost a few, and all stemming from that castle on the front. Top 100 player always plays with Spanish. Bottom 5 Civ. Top 5 in terms of dropping castles, people. It actually pains me so much to see that neither of them have horse color right now. Woo! Oh, man, I feel like the big thing here is so many people watching understand how stressful Age of Empires can be. And I think that they're looking at Comtam's position right now, and they're like, oh, man, I've been there, buddy. Now, check this out. Comtam is thinking about ways to solve this. So, Army hasn't really solved it in Castle Age, as we see another castle coming forward, and he's going to go Imp. Going to the Imperial Age, and then with Imperial Age, you can just trap down this castle, right? Everything's going to be fine. Castle number 3, still 20 villagers behind his T, but also there's an efficiency difference because of the amount of idols that Comtam has had. Comtam also will not have this stone and gold long term. However, I think Comtam could maybe find this stone and gold with a little bit of scouting. This Ram, man, I don't know if that's the same Ram or what, but Ram has done so much damage. As that tower goes down, a few more villagers go down, and this castle goes up. And this is what T can see. At this point, this was the main eco area for Comtam. It's gone because of the castle drop. It is so annoying, which is why it's a part of this series. And I know that some of the ones in my most annoying strategy series are super unique, but I was thinking the other day, I was like, I need to highlight strategies that happen all the time that are annoying. That's the point of the series. But what's cool about this one is it's a common strat at most levels, but it's unique because you never see it possible at a high level. What is this? TC number 5 in the game? Maybe 4 for Comtam, just trying to find safe space. And making crossbowmen with the hopes to maybe get to Arbalest with Bracer, which would shred Conquistador. Looking back at the eco here for T, he actually bought food to get handcart, which is fascinating. Still no horse color, which would mean there's a lot more food on those farms. Right, Conquistador's moving this way. This is what T can see. Castle has ballistics. Really not a position you want to be in. But wait! Yes, I do! Enemy hits Imp. Enemy can make trebuchets. I don't freaking care, says T. This is ridiculous. Has been behind in villagers virtually the entire game. Well, since the start, right? Because he's been up against Chinese. But T has the stone, and T has the guts, and capture rate is lagging, but castle going up. There are castles surrounding Comtam right now. Now, this is what solves that problem. Right? This solves that problem. It can take care of the castles, but it takes time. And the conks are just looping in anyways. Forget about the castle fire. Forget about the crossbows. And T realizes, with my positioning of the castles, if I just, you know what we're going to do? Bear with me, guys. The super enhanced graphics makes this lag and it bothers me. So, you know, he realizes with his positioning that if he can just take out Trebs, there's not going to be a whole lot of gold income here for Comtam long term. And he always conks here. He's sacrificing so much for this, though. Can he get that one? I don't know. That's a big loss. We end up at T90 population for both players. Okay, 86 versus 89. I just can never pass up an opportunity for a bad joke, I should say. And now for T, T's using a Mangonel on this TC. As castles that have taken out the other ones. Is just repairing this castle for time. Still making more conquistadors. Comtam really just can't afford anything. The only thing Comtam has really benefited from in Imp has been the Trebs. Don't get me wrong. It's not like there's zero benefit to that. But Just look at how crazy this continues to be. T just relentlessly pushing in with rams. With a commitment that I've just never seen. Not with Spanish anyways. And I guess the thought process is my eco's untouched. Even if it's not pretty, I'm just going to keep tossing crap in towards you and make you deal with it. And the longer this castle stays up, the longer that Comtam doesn't have that town center. The longer he can't rebuild one. The longer he can't take resources. And right now, it's really just the gold. Comtam is completely out of gold. And look at these conks from T. Just sitting on it. Has placed castles in all the critical areas to deny golds. Even mining some of that gold as we see the gold mining upgrade. And now it's 89 eco versus 76 eco. And while T is in castle, the castle here is staying up. Somehow, some way, the castle here is staying up. And Comtam is just like, what do I have to do to get this guy off of me? He's got 1 treb on this castle and 1 treb on this castle. Now, this is where the market can really help. But if you sell wood, you're going to get gold in return. It's not going to solve that food problem. So here comes some farms. Still seems doable for Comtam. Again, best, probably, I think, #1 Arabia civilization in the game. Though maybe there are some awkward matchups like Mayan and Aztecs. But plenty of time to talk about that in other videos. Spanish are certainly not there, man. But their castle drops. And there's a few people watching right now who might be inspired by this in some way. Like, man, this is strong. And it must make you feel so good, too, you know? To be able to get so many castles up on somebody. Like, how many rams have gone down? This is crazy, man. Completely out of stone here for the repairs. T's been repairing this castle for a couple minutes here. But the Chukunu and Arbs actually pulled over there to deal with the conks. And they were the only thing here to take out the rams. Comtam isn't mining any stone. We actually had 200 stone purchased to continue the repairs here. It looks like these rams are going to go down. There's another ram here. Just take out the houses. Yeah, why not? And suddenly, there's a lot more conquistadors. There's more rams coming in. There's more commitment from T, who has shown that he doesn't have any real problems with fighting underneath castle fire. And now we see Comtam in the most awkward spot. Still can't take gold. Sitting here with the trebs going after the conks, the crossbows who still don't have a bracer, which is the Imperial Age tech. But it still feels like it's kind of worth it in some ways. That's a lot of conks and rams down. Oh my word, what a game! Okay, so now T's thinking, well, alright, so we didn't kill him off in castle age. The castles didn't do it. 2 of the castles that were dropped went down. That's never a great feeling. But does seem to have an idea that there's gold here. Does seem to have an idea that there's stone here. Player's just really good at finding the extra resources. And we might even see, you know, watch there be an outpost or something show up in the corner for the other gold. Does see the mining camp from Comtam. And is now going to react to that. Castle dropping, you either want to place a forward castle right before you go Imperial Age for trebs, or you want to deny resources. And the castles and the map control and map awareness has been so good for T. I think his conk actually tried to click away there to run. Oh, man, and Comtam knew. He knew this might force a reaction, and now these villagers have to run away. Goldless, almost goldless is Comtam. As we see this castle get trebbed down. And now we get horse collar. Like, that's not a thing, man. I guess for this is a bad example because Comtam also didn't get horse collar. So me saying it's not a thing at a high level is clearly wrong, but 3 castles have gone down on the front. That's not normally something that makes you feel positive. But it's just bought time. And it's brought this massive headache to the enemy. By the way, speaking of long-term gold and resources, relic #2 coming in for T. That will give him some gold. And now maybe we're going to see a switch. Now suddenly, the enemy's been backed into a corner. And throughout all the mid-game, what T's been doing is having that one clumped-up force that has to stay together. You know where they're at now. Time to spread out. Time to make a tech switch. And it looks like we're going to see maybe Hussar. Something that doesn't cost gold as we see cab upgrades coming in. And stables being placed on the front. Because who needs any defensive buildings at this point, right? This castle's still producing conks. Gisa are still a great unit. Now I will say that, you know, with ballistics and bracer being in, conks are going to look a little bit weaker here unless they're upgraded. All right, TC goes up. TC will hit those conks. These ranged units looking good. I mean, 71 villagers, big difference now between Comtam and T's position. And look at all the rams. Even the siege workshops right now being trebbed down. Absolute helpless feeling when you get castle dropped, guys. An absolute helpless feeling. And Comtam had great micro. I think the macro really is kind of what hurt. But when you have a 20-vill lead against Spanish, you're still feeling pretty good with Chinese normally. If I were to have played in T's position, I would have never made it this far because I wouldn't have committed. I would not have had the guts to go for that initial castle, which almost didn't go up, right? That could have been the game, but it did go up. And sometimes the most interesting players are the players who are okay to take those risks. This is what Comtam can see now. Trying to take the golds. That's good. Has decent farming eco now. Trying to switch into camel, expecting light cav, expecting maybe cavalier. But now is almost out of gold, right? Except for that one spot he just switched over to. And now you just get raided to death, really. I mean, light cav can run in time and time again. There's so much on food right now for T. Just not seeing as we see okay, this is an army that's going to go for a raid. There's not much at home right now, so we'll see what happens. But look, we've got capped rams coming in. Still, somehow, so many conquistadors. T never stopped producing conquistadors. That original castle, the OG castle, still stands. Maybe we'll see some conks come out of that. T hasn't really reacted just yet, but who can blame T for that? Probably focused on the front where everything is being killed. I'd prefer to look at this. The light cav went right back to that gold. And, okay, there's a reaction. This will probably be dealt with by something soon. Tell you, it's not fun to lose to styles like this. Because as a high-level player, what you're trying to do is you're trying to play that meta. You have an understanding of that balance between eco and aggression. Comtam calls the GG past the hour mark. And with T, it's not about balance. It's about castle drops. Seriously. I've watched through T's games. It's just, you see a whole lot of this. And it's incredible. And it's incredibly annoying. Nothing makes you feel worse about yourself as a player. Like, imagine everyone in the top 100 pretty much has been playing for, I don't know, let's say 5 years minimum, for the most part, right? So you spend half a decade playing and honing your skills and understanding the game. You get to a point where you feel like you're solid. And then you lose to a strat like this. And you're just like, he didn't do any of the stuff that I had to do to get here. But is he cheating? Like, how, you know? or sometimes you're just like, that shouldn't have worked, man. I should have stopped the castle. And I think for some, it can kind of lead to that classic thought of, I just lost to a worse player. It's very easy, I think, so we don't look at our own weaknesses to just be like, oh, what a noob, only does that strategy. It's just so we don't have to acknowledge our own shortcomings. What an interesting game, though. Let's look back at this timeline. It all started with that overly passive play from T. I mean, timeline shows you the eco and military on the field. No intention of making military and feudal. No intention of even faking it. Gave up the berries, gave up so much map control. Eventually got the castle. In Castle Age, eventually got the wood upgrade. And then I think right around here, actually, you can see the dip. I think this was castle number 1 because of the dip in military. I remember a lot of units dying after that. And then you can see where all the future castles came in. I really wish there was a way on this timeline to show the castles, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was like every time there's a dip. So castle, I think there's castle right here. That would make sense, right? Right before imp. Yeah, right before imp. You remember? And then another castle over here. It's just, I'm going to chip away at your eco with castle drops nonstop. Even if they go down. Doesn't matter. Good luck hitting me at home. Buildings raised was insane. KD was insane. Economically, Comtam had the most wood, but that was just because villagers were forced to go chop wood. They were forced off of other jobs. And I want to hear from you guys twofold. First off, I want to hear your opinion on castle dropping because you might do this all the time. I don't know your level, but for me, it was one of those strategies when I first started playing that was really fun. It just felt so strong. So I want to hear your thoughts overall on the strategy. And then I want to hear maybe just general strategies that you feel are also really annoying that I should maybe look into. Of course, you can always post them in the Discord or tweet me maybe. But thank you guys so much for watching this one. Now, next week, I'm going to upload a game where I played T, and I talked a little bit about it in this. So I don't know how frequently you guys watch my videos, but I should be back on uploading either every day or every other day consistently, and just keep an eye on those videos if you want to see my game where we kind of talk through some of the things that went right or went wrong for me in that game. Make sure to check out the Most Annoying Strategy series if you have any interest in other annoying strategies. Remember, a lot of those videos were actually before the Definitive Edition came out, so it has those classic nostalgic graphics if that's your cup of tea. Thanks for watching, guys. With my YouTube only stuff, if you enjoy it, I'm not a guy who does like sponsorships or begs for subs or anything, but a like on the video does help. A like and a comment just makes me be able to see that you guys enjoy the extra effort I put in for these. And if not, no worries. Just thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and thanks for being a part of what I do. Have a good one, guys.